record it as well.
Yeah, record it as well, please. So, what does default mean? Actually, I got a lot of DMs asking me what does the default mean. Default are the universal success rates. What this means is whenever you see this, it means that the algorithm cannot predict the outcome of this signal, right? So right now we're going to start on the 28th just because we have Simple here who joined a bit before. So this is a signal he saw, and we saw the signal EACC, right? So if we take a look at EACC, I believe ACC was a win. Yeah, it was a win at plus 153%. Okay. So this actually, you know what? Let me rewind a bit because actually this is the Illico main algorithm channel. Okay, there's three channels. There's the main algorithm where you can manually buy with Maestro, with Banana. You can look at the token, look at the security measures. Then you have the Auto-Trade channel. These are the high success rate signals only. So this is where you would go in and set your according strategies according to the Platinum Gitbook. So inside the Illico Gitbook, there are certain strategies, low risk to high risk, and this channel is where you would plug them in. You just put your stop loss, your take profit, and your buy amount, and that. But today we're going to go through the main algo, right? So this signal here is called a universal signal. So here, if we read it, it says no predictions possible due to insufficient data, displaying default universal success rates, right? What does this mean? So this is a signal that cannot be predicted. If we scroll, let's scroll a bit and try to find one that was actually predicted. Okay, the one right above. As you can see here, this one has been predicted. This means that Illico predicted that this signal would reach at least 10% profit. Now, this high point here is a signifier for 95%. So this is a 95% success rate metric. So whenever we see high, that means it's a 95% chance that we reach that 10% take profit. But if we go back to the Gitbook, the Illico Gitbook, I don't know if you guys want to follow me through, but you're going to have to go to the Genesis 1 playbooks section. Then you're going to want to go to planetary potential use cases. And then there's very specific stop losses and take profits that you could use depending on these metrics here that we see, right? So for example, if this says high, then you use a certain strategy inside the Gitbook. If the solar potential says high, use a certain strategy. Now, let's go with an actual use case. What the hell do we do when we see the signal? So by default, right, by default, Illico has a 91% success rate, right? That means every single signal has a 91% chance of reaching the 15% take profit after fees, right? This is something that can be fact checked as well. So you can actually go in the Illico profit tracker here and scroll through the signals one by one, one by one. So if you went through one by one, right, you'd be able to see that there is actually a 91%. 91 out of 100 signals will be successful, right? So other than that, let's go back to our signal. What would we do here? Now that we know there's a 91% chance, if I wanted to personally play the signal, I would put in no less than zero point 0.4. Why? Because this is a default signal. So what does it mean? We cannot predict the future with this. So what do? We play the Illico success rate. We already know there's a 91% chance, right? I personally, Saison, I'm the founder, but I actually do use the algorithm as well. If you go inside the victories channel, you can see that I also post my victories as well. And a lot of them are around this 20%, 30% mark here, right? And a lot of them don't even actually have the indicators, right? I buy some of these signals. And this is something that you guys could do too, right? You can play the 91% success rate, right? So it doesn't actually matter what it says here because every single one has an equal chance of 91% of reaching a 15% take profit. So in this case, what I would do is I would buy in at zero point 0.4 to zero point 0.5, realistically zero point 0.5, and obviously we make sure that it's not a low market cap coin, right? It doesn't matter if there's a 90% success rate. You don't want to put in 0.5 when the market cap is 20k, 30k. Anything under 500K really you don't really want to put in because you'd have too much of an impact, right? With that being said, put in zero point 0.5 and put your exit at around 20%, right? What do we exit with? 0.1. As we can see here, there are no fees, right? So we'd exit with 20% of 0.5, which is 0.1. So we'd maybe lose out maybe on 0.02 worst case scenario gas, right? So you'd end up with what, 0.08 in profits, around 100 bucks, 150 bucks profit. And this is within, I think, okay, let's actually see how long it took for this signal to be a win. It was called at 12:03 a.m., right? Let's see how long it took for it to go to 153%. 12:06, it took 3 minutes. So this was posted here at 12:06 a.m. It hit this number at 12:06 a.m. and it was called at 12:03. That means it took 3 minutes. So you were in and out with this signal, right? There's no messing around. Especially when you're doing low take profits, there's no messing around. So with that being said, in a signal like this, where you cannot predict the future, it says default, you play the universal Illico success rate at 90% and you set your take profit around 15, 20. That's it, right? Yes, of course you would have missed out on this 153%, but it doesn't matter because there's always another one and another one and another one and another one, right? So with that being said, that's how you would play a default signal, right? You play the 91% success rate. That's it. Now, one thing to also remember is that Illico doesn't only have a 91% success rate for this take profit. It also has a 45% success rate for a 50% take profit, right? That means there's basically a 50% chance of reaching. Actually, you know what? That's wrong. Let me show my screen. Maybe I could pull up the statistics here. I just pulled them up not too long ago. Let's see here. I'm gonna post them in the chat. I'm gonna post them in the voice chat. So these are the success rates. And actually, I was wrong here. The success rate for 50% take profit is 66%. So 66% is what? That means 2 out of 3 signals will hit 50% take profit, right? Now, if you scroll down a bit in what I just sent in the voice chat, if you guys are looking at the recording, for anybody who's looking at the recording, go to the voice chat in the Illico Discord. You're going to see the success rates are posted here. There's a 45% success rate for a 100% take profit. So let me repeat that. There's almost a 50% probability that you will hit a 100% take profit. What does that mean? That means 1 out of 2 signals hit 100% take profit. That's how potent Illico's algorithm is. Now, again, this is something you could verify yourself if you go to Profit Tracker, but really the ultimate strategy, if you're someone who wants to really partake in the actual success rate, you play the high 91%, set it at that 15-20% range, get that 0.1 profit, that's it, end of story. And as we can see here, this signal was called at 12:03 a.m. and it was a success at, let's see here, it was a success at, I believe, let me just go back on the signal here. So 12:03 a.m., it was a success at 12:06. So it took 3 minutes, right? Now, this is the use case for a general signal in Illico, right? If you're someone who doesn't want to waste their time, they don't want to do more research, right? Then what you do is you wait until this metric here says high. Okay, so that's use case number 2. Use case number 3 is how the hell do we take advantage of a 20x like RoboTrade or a 100x like DACC, right? I'm not going to sit here and start inventing things. You can't unless you use Illico correctly. Now, Illico is coming up with a metric. It's called the 20x explosive moonshot, right? It's going to be another metric here. Now, some of you may not be aware, but if you go to the updates channel, this is where all the updates are posted. And the next update will have a new metric where you can literally predict a 20x, right? And you may be asking, how the hell is it possible? The only reason Illico is able to predict these is because it's backed by social sentiment algo. It's not backed by volumetric indicators. It's all social sentiment, right? That's how Illico is able to predict this with this algorithm. Now, with that being said, okay, we went through a case as to what to do when you see these default numbers, right? Now, what category does this fall into? We could call it general signals, right? We could call it no prediction signals, right? Now, signals like this, for example, this would be another one. Cute ACC, you would have done the exact same thing. And guess what would have happened, right? So now we have simple in the call right now, all right? So let's assume simple joined on the 27th, and his first signal was EACC, sorry. So he bought in at zero point 0.5, and he knew that the success rate was 91%. So he bought in and he sold at either 15% or 20% or even 30% take profit, right? He sold there, boom, made a quick zero point 0.1, around zero point 0.1 profit. Gone. 3 minutes. Next signal. Next signal was 3 hours later. Simple was still awake at this time. So it's like, okay, why not play the success rate again? So what he did, again, back to back, I'm not skipping any signals. He went in, bought cute ACC, and he knew that the default universal success rate is 91, right? So he bought in at around that 0.4, 0.5 mark and set his take profit at around 15, 20, 25%. And guess what would have happened? Cute ACC, it went up to 274%, right? Cute ACC, 274%. And let's look at the time on that as well. That's very important. It was signaled at 3:29 a.m. and it was then a victory at 3:36. So it took around 7 minutes, right? So again, one thing, Illico, you have to be quick. But what you need to understand is a lot of people in Illico are worried about being exit liquidity for others or creating pump and dumps. That's one thing you do not need to worry about, because these numbers here that you see, this 15% profit and the general success rates have been calculated before any users have ever even touched Illico, right? So this signal will hit that 15% mark regardless of if 1,000 people buy or one person buys. It doesn't matter because this is influenced by outside factors. So anyways, let's keep going, right? So now we're in this case where Simple just joined Illico and he wants to get in his few trades, right? All right, so he bought in QACC, he sold, and it went to 274%. That's okay. He made 30%, he was in and out, right? That's fine. Now, if you guys want to add like a little, I mean, obviously some of you may say, well, how to take advantage of this 274%? Well, Illico has these indicators where whenever it says high, it has a very high chance of reaching the corresponding take profit. So the way to predict these indicators, these I guess 2x's, 3x's, 4x's is to just wait until it says high at the corresponding indicator, right? And even then, right? Even then, even if it doesn't, we know that there's almost a 50% probability. That's how high Illico's success rate is. 50% of reaching 100% take profit. Again, these success rates are posted inside the voice chat. And if Simple did want to take advantage, of course, many of you are traders, so you know you could sell maybe, I mean, if you're trading with 0.5 and you're selling at 30% profit, you could leave in, you know, 0.01, 0.02. So you leave in a bit of your profit, maybe 10% of your profit. So you'd sell around 90% of your bag, and then the 10% you'd hold it. If that's something you like, at least you keep that profit and you can still take advantage of this 274, right? So that answers the question, which is whenever there's a default signal like this, how do I take advantage of these 2x's and 3x's? Sell a high portion of your bag, leave the rest. That's it. Now, next, looks like Simple is still online, right? In this case, on this day, on the 28th, it was still online. And again, this is all hypothetical, but he had time to buy another signal. So he saw a signal 30 minutes later, DACC recall 2. And he saw here that these were the default, right? It said very low here, but there's no high and there's nothing really he can work with this. So you know what he said? Let's go to the classic 91% success rate. I'm just going to trust the algorithm. So what he did is he bought DACC at around that 0.4, 0.5 mark, and he sold at 30% or 20% or 15%, and he ended up going to 80% profit, right? So that's one thing to understand with Illico is Illico's success rate is extremely high. You don't even need to sell at 30%, right? Because in this case, you wouldn't have sold at 30%. It went up to 17 after break even, right? So we can keep scrolling down on the defaults, right? So if you play the defaults again, Q star, here you would have had to sell at 15, right? Below Charlie Munger, it was a Charlie Munger 171%. You could have sold at 30, right? But do not go and start changing your strategy. If you want to sell at 30, stick to 30, right? One thing with Illico is consistency. Like this in the chat, I've posted the success rates of all the different types of take profits. So for a 20% take profit, it's 81 for 15, it's 91 for 30, it's 73, 50, 66, on and on, right? But stick to a strategy, right? I use the algorithm myself. And I'm going to tell you now, the way I personally use it is I sell around that 30%, 40% mark because the success rate for a 50% take profit is 66%. So 2 out of 3 signals, so 1, 2, 3, 2 out of these will hit 50%. That's information that we know. That's how potent the algo is. So those are 2 strategies you can implement, right? If you don't want to wait for the high, either play the 91% at 15% take profit, or you can play the 50% take profit because you know that out of 3 signals, 2 of them will hit 50%, right? And 1 of them will hit stop loss. That's it, right? It's very simple. You take advantage of Illico's high success rates. Now, right now, I'm going on not edge cases, but these are cases that cannot be predicted, right? This is not the highest level signals. If we scroll down, and by the way, we can also simulate what would have happened if Simple would have bought here with Charlie Munger, went up 171%. If let's say Simple wanted to buy another signal, the original AI, and this one said high, he would have bought in, set it at 30%. 30% would have been a win, so on and so forth, right? Now, when I start scrolling here, you guys see the high level. Now, I just wanted to clarify, there are very specific strategies you can use for these different indicators, right? So for the high, if you go to the Illico Gitbook, there are specific take profits and stop losses you could use that have already been backtested and simulated. Not only backtested, they've also been simulated in an actual simulation, right? Now, probably the most important thing to notice when looking at a signal is these indicators, but it's also the market cap, right? It doesn't matter how high Illico's success rate is. If you're buying at a 28K market cap, you're not going to put in more than 0.1. It's not recommended at all. You'd have too much of an price impact, right? And also, the lower the market cap, the lower the chance of it being, an actual prominent token, one that you could hold for a bit longer or hold. It's just because the lower the market cap, the more risky. So if you're watching this and recording, anything about below 500K, don't put in more than 0.1, right? Above 500K, 0.5 at least, right? Again, this is referring to the old strategy about the 15% take profit, right? Now, what happens when there's a high? You can use one of the three strategies in the Gitbook. I'm going to send the link in the voice chat. There are specific strategies you can use based on your risk level, right? And these are strategies that you can also automate, right? They're not strategies that you could just use for one, you could also automate them. If you guys don't want to automate it, very simple. If it says high, that means there's a 95% probability of it reaching 15%. It says 10% here, but it's actually 15%. So it's almost guaranteed of being success. And within the last 3 weeks, there hasn't been a single recorded loss with the high, right? So assuming that our friend Simple here bought every single signal since he joined, every one of them, and let's say he sold at 15% every time with that point 0.5, and he ignored everything under, let's say, under 500K, he wouldn't have had a single loss. Since he joined, he wouldn't have had a single loss as we went through, right? If we keep going, what do we do in this type of signal, right? We can't predict it. So what do? We use that 91% success rate. We know that Illico has a 91% success rate, right? So we say, okay, we're not going to, there's no point of complicating our lives, right? Illico wants to make your lives more simple. So you sell at 15%. Don't be greedy. Leverage Illico's high success rate. There's no point of being greedy, right? These signals can be checked one by one, right? So if you went to go check one by one, let's start with, where were we? Charlie Munger, recall one. Let's go see. This is the profit tracker, by the way. I don't know if everybody here is familiar or anybody recording. This is the Illico profit tracker. All wins and losses and honeypots are posted here. But you may be wondering what says on why don't I see them? It's because out of 100 signals, only 9 of them will be a loss. That's why, right? So let's go to Charlie Munger recall one, right? What do we say? Here, we do not complicate our lives, right? You know Illico has a 91% success rate. You sell it at 15%, right? That's it. Now, would this have been a win? In this case, it went up to 10%. So no, it wouldn't have. But here, this is where the take profits in the Git book come into place. The take profits and the stop losses, right? Do not overcomplicate your life. We have already backtested and simulated the necessary stop losses and take profits. Use the ones there. Of course, you can use your own, but these are the ones that already work, right? Now, the next signal, open exchange token. Now, one thing with this is market cap is 100 million. Okay. The market cap is 100 million. So what do we do with that? Let's see. Where is the open exchange token? Where is it here? Open exchange token. Let's see. Let's go take a look how open exchange token did. So it went up 11%. Here's something we need to understand, okay? Everybody inside this Discord is not an amateur, right? Everybody here knows how to trade. They know anything under over 100 million market cap. I mean, obviously, if the supply is not screwed and it's actually legitimate, we all know this is extremely conservative, right? So with this, again, you set your take profit at 15% or 20 or 30, and you don't touch it, right? But use the stop losses inside the Illico Gitbook, right? So here you would have set here, and I don't even think it would hit. But to be fair, this wasn't really a loss, right? Because you wouldn't have lost any money. To be fair, if you go look at the market cap currently right now, I believe there was another signal. So at the end of the day, you wouldn't have really lost any money. The price didn't really move, right? So that's also a very common occurrence in Illico is we'll call the signals losses, but in reality, it's just that it never hit 15%, right? So you didn't really lose any money. In this case, the fees were 0%. So maybe you lost on gas, but you didn't really lose much, right? That's one thing to remember, right? Is at least you have that conservatives that you have that backing, knowing okay, no matter what, this isn't going to dump, right? Not at 100 million. Okay. Now this next signal, what would we have done? What does this mean? Now, Grok Killer, Jesus. Wow. So this was at a 6K market cap. Okay, let's take a look what happened here. Was Grok Killer a win? The answer is yes. I already know it is because Illico success rate is 91%. So it went up to 128%. Now, what would you have done here? Let's say we're going on the case of Simple, right? Who was buying every single signal. He wouldn't have bought this. Why? Look at the market cap. If he wanted to buy this, because the market cap is so low, here you don't invest more than 0.1. Here, to be fair, I myself, when I use Illico, usually anything under 500K, I don't put anything over 0.1. Nothing over 0.1 at beginning. Then at DCI, I put in a bit more, but nothing over 0.1, right? If it's under 10K, I think we all know this is the mother of all risky signals. You forget everything you know about shitcoins, you trust the algorithm. That's it. But you don't put in more than zero point 0.1, especially over 100K, right? Over 100K, it doesn't matter how high Illico success rate is. Your buy amount should not be anything more than zero point 0.1, right? Everything under zero point 0.1 is acceptable, right? So in this case, if you set that 30% take profit, guess what? You wouldn't have broken even. Why? Because if you're only putting in zero point 0.1 and you set your take profit at 30%, you're making 0.03, right? What happened with gas? There's gas. So gas will eat up your profits. That's why you cannot, if you're going to be using low take profits in Illico, yes, it has a 91% success rate, but you cannot be putting in less than 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 per trade because the gas will eat you up. That's something very important to remember, right? Yes, of course, you could scroll through every single signal. You'll see, right? Almost every single one of them is a win. But the rule of thumb, anything, if you even look at a take profit of 15%, 20%, 30%, you don't put in less than 0.3 per trade, right? That's it. It's very simple. So in this case, market cap was 6K. You put in less than zero point 0.1. You leave it. In this case, you could have maybe put in 0.03, something, 0.04. You just leave it, right? 6K, you leave it. You use Illico's success rate in terms of the 50% at 45. In the voice chat, by the way, in the chat, the success rates are there. You can see that there's a 45% chance for 100% take profit. So you just use that, right? Don't complicate your life. Put that 0.03, 0.04. That's how I would play it personally. Leave it, don't touch it, don't hope for moonshot, right? Especially if you can't predict it. Signals like this, you can't predict it. Nothing here is predictable, right? It doesn't say high. In Illico, if it says high, you buy at a certain take profit and you have increased confidence. That's it. If it doesn't say high, you use that 90% success rate or you use the success rates posted in the voice chat, right? Personally, here are I guess, the three methods I would use Illico. The one I personally use right now, personally, is I don't really care what this says here because I will only leverage the 91% success rate and I'm going to sell at that 20% range, right? You guys can see in my victories that I post, like on my trades, that's what I sell at. That's how I use it personally. And I think that's probably the best strategy in Illico if you want to not complicate your life, right? Now, in terms of ROI, the highest ROI strategy in Illico is to wait until these signals say high. So either the solar potential or galactic potential, right? It's very simple. These signals here, right, they don't say high, right? So you don't buy it. It's that simple, right? We're not here to complicate your life, right? If you really want to keep it as simple as humanly possible, if it doesn't say high, you don't buy. That's it. That's one strategy. You just wait until it says high, you buy, set it at that 20%, 30% range, and you don't touch it. That's it. Another strategy is the one I personally use is regardless of what this says here, you leverage the fact that Illico has a 91% success rate. You set it at that 15, 20%, or even 10% range. To be honest, I use 10% if I'm putting in 0.6, 0.7 per trade, right? It's just Illico success rate is so high that you almost never lose, right? Now, if we were to scroll through and actually simulate what would happen here, this signal here, C3P0, was a very low 80%, 16%. Again, if it doesn't say high, you ignore what this says. Just ignore it. There's no point. Like, there's nothing here that's of value to you, right? It's not important. But what is important, it's still a regular signal. So what I would do, buy in at around that zero point 0.3 range. But then you may stop me and say, well, Cezanne, look at the market cap. Didn't you just say not to buy anything under 500K? At a buy amount of 0.1 or more. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like that's something I cannot stress enough. Like anything under 500K for a reg, because again, there's a lot of people that, a lot of new people in Illico. Some people are not too familiar with shitcoins. Do not like, and especially if you're not doing your own due diligence, you're not doing your own research, not looking at the Twitter, you're not looking at the Telegram, you're not looking at the chart, you're not looking at the top holders, you don't have your own tools, your own analytics, especially if you don't do those things, you do not put anything more than point 0.1 under 500K. Nothing, nothing over, right? It's just for your comfortability as well, right? That's something important. Just simply wait until it says something over 500K, and then at least you have, because it's also about peace of mind, right? It's about peace of mind. So wait until it says 500K over, regular signal, and put in that point 4, point 5, sell at 15%, right? That's my strategy. That's it. That like that's it's very simple. Like you don't need to look at this unless it says high. Like really, like I'm here to simplify your life, right? I'm a person who I use the algorithm myself. I use it, and the easiest strategy, the no-brainer strategy is you just leverage the 91% success rate. That's it. And you sell at that 15%, 10% range whenever it's a bit more conservative at 500K. That's how I play, right? Now, again, I've mentioned this before, there are other ways to use Illico, right? Let's say you did want to play this 80K market cap. Okay, good, fantastic. Don't put in more than point 0.1. Number one, if you did, it's simply a question of peace of mind, right, and comfort. It's just because I know there's a lot of new users in Illico. We're not too familiar, at least at the beginning. Anything under 500K, you don't put in more than point 0.1, right? Because also there's something called drawdown. And when you use an algorithm like Illico, drawdown is the difference from your initial start investment to your current investment, right? If you're putting in zero point 0.5 per trade, your drawdown will be 5 times more than if you put zero point 0.1 per trade. It just means, again, it's the difference from your start investment to current. So let's say I took 5 trades at point 0.1 and I had 1 ETH my balance, right? So I have 1 ETH in my balance. I took 5 trades at point 0.1. What am I at? I'm at point 0.5. So the drawdown is 50% now, right? 50%. That's one thing to notice, okay? You never want it to really get below that 30% mark, right? Especially like this is all depending if you're holding a token, of course. And this is like it depends on your level of risk, of course. Me personally, I don't let it get anything below 70%, right? Because I personally, I only trade on the lower take profits with a higher buy amount, right? I'd only trade on these low market caps, right? But if you want to, don't set anything above zero point 0.1. Okay. Anyways, I've talked a bit much about this. Now, let's say you were to buy in every single signal, starting from the signal we went above. So let's say we go back to our simple scenario, C3P0, you would have bought in, it went up to 340%, right? Next signals, what is it? Slarty Bart Fast. Slarty Bart Fast, 263%. Next signal, Henry Kissinger. I believe this was a honeypot. Now, one thing to notice is once you take a look at the market cap, 7,000, right? So in this case, that low investment would have made sure that you wouldn't have taken over too much. But guess what? Even doesn't even matter that it was a honeypot because when you buy with Maestro, they have a feature that is called anti-rug. So it's a feature that front runs your transaction against the contract owner. So if the contract owner is trying to pull the funds, that's a function that he's calling, right? It's not just, you have to call a function within the contract. So most of the time, Maestro can catch it, right? It's very good. It's happened a few times, and Maestro has caught it. So your funds will be safe. But regardless, who the hell wants to take that chance, right? 7K market cap, personally, don't touch it. Same thing with Rock Killer above. Where do we see Rock Killer? Here. Rock Killer was a win, but it's 6K market cap, man. You don't touch this. You don't touch this, right? So anyways, as we go down, Henry Kissinger, next one is rock 2. What do we do here, right? What does this mean? What did I mention before? Does this say hi in the signal? No. So who cares? I'm the founder. I'm telling you, who cares? Don't even look at this. If this doesn't say hi, forget about it. Forget about it, right? Unless you're playing the same strategy that I am, which is 90% success rate for 15%, right? Now, I've spoken about the conservative approach to trading with Illico. Now, how do you take advantage of the 2x's, 3x's, 10x's, 20x's, 50x's? You use the high levels of these indicators. So again, we want your life to be as simple as possible. So all you have to do is ignore all this noise. Ignore it. Ignore everything that doesn't say hi. You ignore it, right? And when it says hi, that's when you buy. So if you're playing that 10%, 15%, 20% mark, then you buy, right? Then you would wait for for a high on the galactic or solar potential if you're playing that. But anything else is noise. I'm the founder. I'm telling you I'm telling you ignore it. Ignore it. Even if like we can go right now and see like if these signals were wins, right? Um, by the way, just so you guys can see, all losses are posted as well. But I'd like you to take note of something. Why don't you look at the date that this signal was a loss on? 15th of November. We're currently the 1st of December. So this was 2 weeks ago, right? So that's something to notice. Now, just so you see, okay, for your eyes, that even if it doesn't say high, its success rate is extremely high. So GEC, if you bought, right, GEC went to, as you can see, it was a win, went to 200%, right? Next signal, go fuck yourself. Excuse my language. Go fuck yourself. 478%. So it was a 6x almost, right? One by one, right? Next signal, Joe Coin Recall 1. Joe Coin Recall 1 was here. Joe Coin Recall 1, 21%, right? Cyber Beast. Cyber Beast was 174%. So these were all wins. Like these are all, this is all, what is this? The 30th? So this is within the last few days, right? Go fuck yourself, recall 1. Okay, let's see if this one was a win. Now this one was a win a few days after, or I think the day after. But as you can see, it took a day, but ended up being a win. So if you bought every signal here, they would have all been wins, right? But you don't complicate your life, okay? You wait until it says hi. That's it. That's really it, guys. That's it. Anyways, so today the point of these sessions, they're what we call case studies. So I go through signals. Today was kind of, we did a mass onboarding last week, so we wanted to have a nice recording of just what use cases, what strategies to use depending on the types of signals. Now, usually the way these sessions work is I go through what either my trades have been, like I go my personal trades or the team's trades. So I can show, because the thing is if I'm not trading with my own algorithm, like why should you, right? Like it doesn't really make sense. Now, whenever we see these signals, if there's something I'd like you guys to leave with this training, it's just remember 90% for a 15% take profit. That's probably the biggest point I'd like you to remember. That's it. If you don't know what to do, if you don't know what signal to buy, if you don't know what this means, just remember there's a 90% probability of any signal reaching 15%. Use that. That's it. And if you want to go a step further, use conservative, like be conservative, right? So wait until this signals that are above, a million, around, 800, 900, a million market cap. So you have that conservativeness at least, right? Especially if you're playing around with point 4, point 0.5. Wait until there's a bit more of a market cap, like a heavier market cap. You definitely do not want to be putting point 0.5 per trade under 100K for sure. So If you ever do not know what to do on a certain signal, you don't know what these mean, right? Just play that 15% at 90% and wait, and obviously make sure that the market cap is around that 800, 900, $1 million mark, right? That's it. That's pretty much it. And that, obviously, if it's high, it's an extremely bullish signal, and there's a 95% probability of it reaching 10 to 15%, right? And I posted these success rates in the voice chat, by the way. Now, that's pretty much it. Today, I just wanted to make an intro as to all the different types of use cases of how to use Illico. I went through what to do when you see a high, what to do when you see a default like this, what to do when you see a signal where one is a word, another one is a percentage. I went through all these cases, right? And also went through what would have happened when you bought in. Now, obviously, if you guys scroll through the actual signals, what you guys will see is there's a lot of big signals, right? A lot of 2x's, 3x's, 4x's, especially I believe the latest one was go fuck yourself, right? The way you take advantage of these, like legitimately without effort, is you wait until these measures here, these points, say high. So let's say my name is Simple and I joined Illico. Illico said they could predict a 4x. Okay, beautiful. Actually, this is a 5x. So what I would do, I would wait until this metric here says high. That's it. If it says high, you set it at that 400, maybe 350% take profit mark. You leave it and you do not touch it. That's it. If you want a 100% take profit, you wait until this says high here and you set it what 100%. You do not complicate your life. That's it. So those are the use cases as to what to do if you see a certain signal. Now, what I wanted to show you guys was the actual success rate. Now, I'm sure every single one of you does, you guys do definitely have access to this in the WAP. This is a part of like the full platinum membership. But there's another secret part of Illico that not many people know about because it's not officially pushed, right? And that's the auto trade. Now, anybody with this is not an extra feature. You do not need to pay more. In auto trade, there are specific strategies you can use on the Gitbook. It's called Platinum Auto Trading, right? There's a low risk to cosmic risk. It goes from 11% ROI to 123% ROI. You use one of these strategies, you put in the stop loss to take profit, and you let it automatically trade for you. Now, in terms of the actual, here we do use an integration with Maestro. We spoke with them, we set up an integration to automatically buy signals. But this is the beauty of auto trade is it's not going to buy, on the BTC USDT chart, right? It's going to buy specifically Genesis 1 signals or the auto trade signals. So in Illico, you do have access to auto trade. This is something you have access to. At the moment, keep your eye on the updates channel in Discord because it's going through an entire revamp, right? Because right now, every single one of you in this call and all of you who are watching the recording are going to say, first thing you're going to say is, Saison, where the hell are all the highs for the galactics and the solars, right? And the answer to that is, at the current moment, we're going through, it's called the signal prediction optimization, right? That's an update going on right now. And if you go in the updates channel in the Discord, you could see all of the updates, everything Illico is working on is posted there. And one cool anecdote is that if you scroll up, you could see that Illico has been here for around almost 2 years now. And if you scroll all the way up in this updates chat in the Discord, you're going to see that Illico has not missed a single week, not 1 week in the last year and a half of posting what the team is working on and what the updates are. And it was especially important when we had, our NFT algorithm, which is right over here. By the way, I don't know if you guys are in the NFT algorithm, but this is the algo. Looks like it called this views by Delta Sauce yesterday. It was actually a pretty good win, 300%. But this is our algorithm for NFTs. It's not a main service anymore, but it's if you look at the latest announcement, you can actually request access to it if you'd like. It's free for platinum users. So it's like an addition. If you want it, you could just request access to it and we give it to you for free, no problem. I don't think that's, I don't feel that it's right to charge, for an NFT algorithm when the liquidity is so low in the market and you already have platinum, right? If you have platinum, send us, open a ticket, and or just DM me or the team, and we'll set you up with some access, right? So that's the NFT. Anyways, so I was answering the question, which was, Saison, where the hell are all the high galactic signals and the solars, right? So in the updates channel, you guys are going to see that it's an update that we're working on. And this update is actually going to completely revamp Illico. If right now you think Illico's crazy, just wait until we push this update. Just wait. Because imagine this, right? Imagine my name is Simple and I just joined Illico and I see galactic potential level high. And I'm like, okay, well, there's no way this works. How the hell can you predict a shitcoin going 400%? That's not possible. That's not possible. You can't predict the future. You can't, Saison, you're crazy. And you see the high and it actually goes to 400%. Now that's what I want you guys to experience. I want you guys to experience it. I've experienced it. The team's experienced it. The people before you have. That's something that when you see this, when your own eyes, you see this say hi here and it goes to 400%, you forget everything you know, right? Because the chart will tell you different. The socials will tell you different. You're gonna go on the Telegram community. It's gonna be completely dead, and you're gonna wonder why the hell did this run up to 400%, right? And then you're gonna be like, okay, Illico saves you the headache of having to do this thorough research. Illico saves you the problems of having unreliable information, right? So with that being said, the new update is going to increase the amount of signals that are detected by the indicators. So there will be more solar potentials and more galactic potentials that say high. So instead of going through every one and not seeing a high, for example, let's say we go through the previous signals, and for example, go fuck yourself. This one was not a high, right? Illico couldn't predict it with the current data it has. Now, I'd have to find it. I don't know where it is exactly. Anyways, doesn't matter. The signal was similar to this, right? It didn't say high. So how would you have known that it would have went up to 5x, right? You would have had to done, you would have to have done more due diligence. But I don't want you to have to do more due diligence, right? I want to save you the trouble. So new updates, it's going to increase the amount of signals that are detected by Illico, and it's going to start predicting them at a more increased rate, right? So instead of signals just saying default or saying 16% and not predicting them, Illico will start predicting them tenfold, right? I can't even, if you guys go look in the updates channel, I gave kind of a sneak peek. If you scroll up a bit, one of the metrics you guys will see is a 100, it's one that was ran, I think, for the last 2 weeks, and it had a 100% success rate, and it was one of these metrics, right? It was one of these metrics. Now, with that being said, okay, we're going to conclude this training session here, right? I just wanted to kind of give an intro about how to generally use Illico, how to decipher what a signal means. Guess what? You don't have to. If it doesn't say hi, you ignore it unless you're playing the 90% rule. That's it, right? Also, there's also one other thing I'd like to mention. There's a live trading chat in the Discord. That's one you guys can use. If you guys are buying a signal, I know I should probably use it myself. If you guys are buying a signal, you could ping a role. It's called the role setup, right? In the role setup, it's called the platinum trader. I don't know if anybody inside here actually has the platinum trader role. If you have that role, you could ping it. Anybody can ping it, and you can get pinged whenever somebody's making a play. So let's say I'm making a play on one of these signals, on DACC, and I make a play and I ping live trading. That means anybody who has this role is going to get pinged. And I'm wondering, well, look, DACC was was signaled 3 times, right? So recall one, recalled one, and the regular signal is up here, right? So it's signaled 3 times. So I would ping live trading and say, look, and this is, by the way, this is a case that you guys will most likely go through. You're going to see, okay, well, the signal was pushed 3 times, right? What makes you think it's going to go well? So I would ping live trading and I would say, okay, well, what is the bullish case on DACC? Is it still a good buy-in at 4.5 million market cap, right? So that's one way you could use the platinum trader role in the live trading. You just ping it if you want to make a play and you want, because here's the thing, right? The person next door always has a piece of alpha. You never know who has some alpha on something, right? So that's what the purpose of the platinum trader role is for, right? So that's it for today. Usually I I do not go this in depth on all the use cases because I go through what I personally do. So you guys can see like what my personal strategy is. I go through the signals that I personally buy, not the signals that happen, like the ones I actually buy, and I show you how what my thought process was, how I played them, what the optimal way to play it was, what my mistakes were, so on and so forth, right? Now, I don't have time to trade as I used to. I used to trade much more because there's many things to be done here, but I still take the time to to make some plays here and there. And whenever there is like you guys can see, I do actually use it. I post my victories in the victories channel, and I do actually use it, right? On every case study we do on every Friday at this time, I go through my own signals so you guys can see how I use it, so on and so forth. So that's pretty much it. Just wanted to kind of give the intro. Thank you for everybody for coming by. But while I have you here, why every single one of you is new, right? This is something you haven't used before. So I'd like to hear maybe some of your questions, your experiences, because you cannot sit here and tell me there aren't no questions, right? For sure there's something, and I'm here now. You guys got me, you guys got the team here. Every Friday we're here, and in this call right now, is there anybody who actually has, have you know, taken the time to dive into the signals, right? Have you taken a look at it, right? It's okay if you haven't actually started using it, but have you started, diving into it, right? That's uh, that's something I'd like to know. One thing that's very important to me is that the process is as easy as possible and as fluid as possible, right? So, is there anybody here, like for example, we'll go one by one. ACC, Cyberjits, Jax, Prodyz, Simple. You know, it's not just for us, also for the people watching in the recording. This, like the questions that you guys have, will help, absolutely everyone, right? Um, Now, on a regular basis, like I said, every week I go through my own signals, but also I go through other people's signals as well. Um, and here, yeah, that's an excellent question. So ACC, I went over this, a bit before you joined, but this base success rate, 10%, it isn't actually 10%, right? It's 15%. That's why whenever there's a high level signal, you're going to see, whenever there's a high like this, for example, almost 100% of the time it's going to go over 10%. So this is actually, it's not 10%, it's 15%, right? We say 10% because 15% factors in all that, because that's the thing is everybody uses different tools, right? So you could use Maestro, you could use Shuriken, Banana, everybody has different fees, right? So it's actually 15%, but we say 10% to be conservative, right? But it is actually 15%. Um, that's why you put in the take profit there. Excellent question. I'm sure that question actually answers a couple people from who are going to watch the video, because when you see this, of course you're going to ask, why does it say 10%? That's a good point. Now, is there anything else? So what about you, Cyberjits, Simple Jacks? Any question as to how would you use it, right? Why don't you tell me, how would you personally use this algorithm, right? Um, absolutely, absolutely glad to hear it. So on that note, we'll conclude here. If nobody has any other questions, and we'll keep running the strats. You guys will see. I'll keep posting my victories. I'll keep posting my signals. You guys can use the profit bot as well. Um, but again, if you guys are going to leave the call with one thing, it's if you do not know how to play a certain signal, two things: you either play the high, wait until it says high, or you just play the 90% success rate at that 15% TP. And obviously make sure the market cap is around that $1 million mark. That's how I personally use it, right? And that is the best strategy to use in Illico. Absolutely. So Cyberjets, the slippage depends on the market cap. Like it actually depends on the market cap. The higher the market cap, the lower your slippage because obviously your buying is going to be much higher. So I don't set my slippage anything over 10% when I buy anything over a million because I'm putting in around zero point 0.5, zero point 0.4, zero point 0.3 per trade, right? If you're buying signals under that 500K mark, you would need to put slippage at around 25%, 20 to 25%, right? At around that, because under 100K, the price moves extremely quickly. And while you're buying, the price might, one question I received today, actually, I think this would enlighten all of you. And it's that, well, if there are so many users in Illico, is there a candle that forms? Actually, before I go on, Cyberjets, did I answer your question? Or do you want me to go more in depth in this slippage? Basically, if it's over a million and my buys are around zero point 0.4, zero point 0.5, I'm not setting anything above 10%. If I'm buying under 500K, then I'm setting anything below 25%. My slippage is always 20, 25% when I'm buying anything under 500K. But of course, my buy amount is not zero point 0.5, right? It's around zero point 0.1. So I hope that answers your question. Absolutely beautiful. So I received a question today that will enlighten all of you, and that is, with the more users that join Illico, won't there be a candle that forms upon every signal? I'm sure that's a question that you guys probably asked yourselves, right? And it's actually counterintuitive, like it's counter to what you'd believe in. When you get a signal illegal, the token actually dips most of the time. So you can get, and if you guys scroll through the chats in live trading, there's a couple people who even mentioned this. Like you'd have to scroll up a bit. It's that the signals actually dip, so it's actually a bit better to wait sometimes. Maybe just a few, like literally a few seconds, not 10 minutes, a few seconds. Wait because most of the time it does dip. It's very contrary to popular belief. Like you would think that a candle in Lico would form because many people buy at the same time, right? But it actually dips most of the time, right? And listen, I don't want to over oversaturate you guys with information, but just so you guys can know what the platinum actually has, let me just show you. If you guys go on the WAP, you guys can see this, but also on the Gitbook. I'm going to send you a screenshot. It's in the voice chat, right? For everybody watching the recording, this is called the professional VIP in the getting access session on the Gitbook. The reason I'm sending this is because there are more features coming to Illico, right? Inside the actual platinum access. Now, one thing you guys see here is that you guys have access to the contract, right? Any level of access in Illico doesn't have contract, right? Only platinum has access. Everybody try, like I don't believe in making people try Illico without getting full access. So with platinum, it is the only pass that actually gives you full contract access as well. But that's not even it. If you look at the screenshot I sent you, and again, anybody recording, I'm in the Gitbook in the professional VIP plan, you're going to see one small metric there that I spoke about briefly. It's called the 20x explosive moonshot. You may be wondering, Cezanne, what the hell is a 20x explosive moonshot? indicator? Guess what? It's in the name. It lets you predict a signal that will go 20x. You heard it right. The indicator is actually complete. It's finished. Now, this all sounds crazy, right? Hearing myself speak sounds crazy, right? Exactly. How do you predict a 20x? Because we don't use volumetric points. None of these signals are calculated. Well, actually, no, to be fair, there is an initial filter that filters around 90% of the signals with volumetric, points, but it's because Illico's created with a social backed algorithm, not volumetric. So it uses D apps, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all these. Illico's algorithm has been in development for around 2 years and a half, right? We went public at around a year in. We released our NFT trading algorithm. We sold out, and it's called Gen X, the one that I referred to, and then we pushed Gen 1. So Gen 1 has actually been, this algorithm you guys are seeing has been in the works for around 2 years and a half. So that's one thing to notice, is that Illico never stops building. If you go in the updates channel, you could see every single week in the last year and a half, almost 2 years, an update was posted about where the team was, what they were working on. Every single, not one week was missed, not one. We didn't go on a 2 month break. We didn't go on a 4 month break. Every single week for the last almost 2 years, an update was posted to let our users know what was going on. Now, with that being said, these are the points coming. The 20x explosive moonshot, which lets you predict the 20x, which, by the way, is completed. In terms of hit rate, yes, the metric is finished. It's done. The hit rate is almost 70%. 70%. And it sounds crazy, but also, isn't it crazy that there's a 90% success rate already? So if you guys can see a 90% success rate, does that make it a bit more, or make it sound a little less crazy, right? Because if you were to scroll through every single signal one by one, count them one by one, you would see that 91 out of 100 of them end up being successful. 91. You guys can see here, 91. You can scroll through. What's coming up? 20x explosive moonshot is coming up, and more signals are going to be predicted. Instead of just saying default, you're going to see 10 times more signals saying hi at either galactic or solar, because right now there are none. There are none, right? There are some. If you really scroll up, if you really scroll up, you guys will see that there are actually highs for solar and galactic, but they're just extremely rare. So that's the biggest update that you guys will see. It's that there's going to be more signals that predict these galactic and solar. So more signals that say hi for these take profits, right? So that's pretty much it. That is the summary. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope I answered all the questions. Cyberjets had one question, was how do you detect honeypot and low market cap? So we use honeypot.is. We use one of theirs. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a honeypot expert, right? It's very simple. If the contract has certain vulnerabilities, like it's more prone to being a honeypot. So Illico actually ignores a lot of signals that could be honeypots. So there's actually more signals than this. There's way more. But I don't want to oversaturate your whole feed with signals, man, right? So in terms of honeypot, we use honeypot.is to filter. We also use token sniffer, and we use our own in-house honeypot detector. Now, you saw one honeypot, right? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to hide it. We have nothing to hide. It's right here, right? Signal turned into a honeypot. Okay. But just to show you how rare a honeypot really is in Illico, why don't we actually count it up? Let's count it, right? So how many signals were there until this one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15 signals, right? Just from the last 2 days, 15, right? And I'm just going to scroll through, okay? It's literally going to take me around 2, 3 minutes just to find the next one. So I want you to guys, just to put you guys at ease to know how rare it actually is, right? So let's scroll up and see when the last one is. Let's scroll up. I'm at around 30 signals now. 50, 60, 70, 80. You guys can count them, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 90. We could keep going. We could keep going. You guys can see there's been around 120 signals now. 120 signals. We could keep going. We could keep going. We could keep going. So I want you guys to be at ease, like to understand how rare it actually is. In Illico's history, there's actually only ever been 2 honeypots since production, of course, ever. And they were all market caps of under like 20K. There were only two. I just scrolled through over 150 signals with you since October 30th. 150. You guys could see. Like I just scrolled through all of these signals, and there's only been one, which is the one down here. So I want you guys to be at ease. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Cyberjets, I hope that answers your question. If anything is low market cap, don't put a high buy amount. Anything under 100K, don't put a high buy amount. Under 20K, I personally, I don't know who's buying under 20K, but personally, I would not recommend it at all. Like, don't, like, this is something I advocate against. Do not buy under 20K. If you will, don't put more than like 0.01, 0.02. And in terms of honeypot detector, we have our own in-house honeypot detector, right? But we use token sniffer and honeypot.is to filter it out, right? There are more signals. I don't know if you guys are are interested, but Illico has another channel which isn't public, right? It's private. I don't think you guys will be interested, but it's basically all the signals that are risky. They're all the risky signals, and there's some that Beautiful Princess Disorder, Bone Shiba Swap. These are all risky signals, right? Where it may or may not be a honeypot. Every single one of them. Every single one of them, right? I don't know if this is something you're interested in. To be honest, I advocate against this. But if it's something you're interested in, you can also send me a DM. So, with that being said, I'm going to conclude here. And I will see you guys at the next trading session next week where I'll be going over, again, I go over my personal trades or I go over our team's trades or, some of our members' trades and we go over how they use it. Sometimes I bring up some longtime OGs in Illico and they go through what their own process is on, how to dive in signals, so on and so forth. But really, you guys are going to want to stick around to when you guys will actually be able to see whenever it says hi for the galactic and high for the solar. Anyways, I've taken much more of your time. I absolutely love talking about Illico. Every time I talk about it, I get very, excited. Um, this is our baby, right? And I actually use it. I love using it myself. And I'm going to sit here right now on this call. I'm going to tell you one thing. I can't wait to finish the update so I can use it. So of course I want everybody to use it, but I'm so excited to finish the update that I can't wait to use it myself. So that already should speak, right? That's how powerful this update's going to be. I mean, look, if you can predict a 2x, like I don't really know what we're saying here, right? Like the numbers already speak for themselves. On that note, you guys will see me around in the chats. I'll see you next week. And updates should be done probably around in a week and a half. You guys all just joined, I believe. So you should all still be here around a week and a half. I'll see you guys next week, Friday, 4 p.m. again. And I really hope all of you stick around. I think all of your free trials they do last more around 2 weeks, so you should still be in here. And you guys are here to actually witness the update. Now that's what I want you to be here for, to where you see your very first high galactic or high solar, and it actually goes to 400%. Like Illico says high for 400, and it actually goes to 400. Like who does that? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't exist, right? Anyways, on that note, we'll conclude here. If there is no more questions, I'll see you guys in the chat. I'm always active. You gotta see me. I'm always debugging. I'm always doing something, right? I'm the founder of Lico, but I'm also the dev. So any questions, any updates, you can personally ask me as well. You know, I have nothing to hide. All of our wins, losses are there, and I will see you guys in the chat. So thanks for everybody for coming by. I'll see you guys next week. All right. Good night, guys. Take care. Bye bye.